If your clematis is just sitting there, a few sad stems clinging to the trellis, one or two flowers if you're lucky, I need you to stick with me for the next few minutes. Because the truth is, most clematis grow slowly not because of the plant, but because of a handful of small things nobody tells you. And once you fix them, this vine turns into a monster. I'm talking new growth you can almost watch happen, thick stems and walls of blooms instead of a shy little climber. By the end of this video, you're going to know 7 specific tricks that quietly explode clematis growth. And trick number 4 is the one that genuinely surprises people, because it costs almost nothing and it's sitting in most gardens already. Don't skip ahead because these build on each other, and if you only do the flashy ones without the foundation, you'll be disappointed. Let's get into it. Trick 1. Plant it deeper than feels right. Here's where almost everyone goes wrong on day 1, and it decides everything that comes after. When you take a clematis out of its nursery pot, your instinct is to plant it at exactly the same soil level it was already at. Don't. With clematis, you want to bury the crown, the point where the stems meet the roots, about 2 to 3 inches deeper than it sat in the pot. This feels wrong. You've spent years being told not to bury the stems of plants, but clematis is different. Those buried nodes, the little joints along the stem, will sprout brand new shoots underground. Instead of 1 or 2 stems coming up, you get a cluster. You're basically building a wider, denser base for the whole plant, which means more channels for water and nutrients to travel up, which means faster growth across the board. There's a bonus here too. Clematis is vulnerable to a problem called clematis wilt, where a stem suddenly collapses for no obvious reason. When your crown is buried deep, even if one stem gets hit, the plant has protected buds below the soil line ready to push out fresh growth. You've given it a backup generator. So if your clematis is already in the ground and planted shallow, mound a few inches of compost over the base this season. You'll still get some of the benefit. Trick 2. Keep the roots cold and in the dark. There's an old gardener's saying about clematis. It likes its head in the sun and its feet in the shade. That's not a cute phrase, it's a growth instruction, and ignoring it is why a lot of clematis in full sun spots underperform even when everything else looks right. Clematis roots hate getting hot and dry. When the soil around the base bakes in afternoon sun, the plant goes into stress mode and slows down, sometimes stopping growth entirely to protect itself. But you want those roots cool, moist, and calm, so the plant can pour all its energy upward into stems and flowers instead of just surviving. The way you fix this is to shade the root zone. You can lay a flat stone or a paver directly over the soil at the base. It blocks the sun, holds moisture underneath, and stays cool even on hot days. Or, and this is the version I like better, plant something low and leafy right in front of your clematis. A small hardy geranium, some low ornamental grasses, or any short bushy perennial will cast shade over that root zone and hide the bare bottom stems, which clematis always has anyway. Give the roots that cool, dark basement, and you'll see the top half respond fast. Trick 3. Match the support to the way it actually climbs. This one's sneaky because you can do everything else right and still watch your clematis flop around and refuse to climb. Here's the thing people miss. Clematis does not have sticky pads or twining stems like ivy or a grapevine. It climbs using its leaf stems, the thin little stalks that hold each leaf. Those leaf stems reach out, and when they touch something skinny enough, they curl around it and hang on. The key word is skinny. A clematis leaf stem can only wrap around something roughly a 1/4 inch thick or less. If your trellis is made of chunky wooden slats or fat metal bars, the plant physically cannot grab it. It reaches out, finds nothing thin enough to grip, and just slides off, so it wastes energy going sideways instead of up. The fix is quick and cheap. Add thin material for it to grab. Stretch some garden twine, thin string, plastic netting, or a piece of chicken wire across your existing support. Suddenly, every leaf stem has something to hold, and the plant starts climbing with real purpose. When a clematis isn't fighting gravity anymore, all that saved energy goes into fresh growth. You'll notice the difference within a couple of weeks. It stops wandering and starts racing upward. Trick 4. Feed it alfalfa and watch it take off. This is the one you won't believe, and it's the trick I get the most surprised reactions from. If you want a genuine, noticeable jump in clematis growth, feed it alfalfa. Yes, the same alfalfa that's sold as animal feed or as a soil amendment. It sounds too simple to matter. It absolutely matters. Here's why it works, and this is the part most people have never heard. Alfalfa naturally contains a compound called tricontinol, which is a plant growth stimulant. It's not a chemical you're spraying on. It's a natural substance the plant responds to by pushing out more shoots and stronger growth. Clematis, roses, and a handful of other plants react to alfalfa almost dramatically. Rose growers have used this quietly for decades, and clematis loves it just as much because the two plants have a very similar appetite. You've got two easy ways to use it. The first is alfalfa meal or pellets. Just scatter a couple of handfuls around the base of your plant in spring, scratch it lightly into the top of the soil and water it in. As it breaks down, it slowly feeds the plant and releases that growth stimulant right where the roots can use it. The second way, which acts faster, is alfalfa tea. Take a handful of alfalfa pellets, drop them in a bucket of water, and let it sit for a few days. I'll warn you now, it smells terrible, really bad. But you pour that liquid around the base of your clematis, and within a week or two, you'll often see fresh shoots you didn't have before. It genuinely looks like you flipped a switch. Do this a couple of times through the growing season, and the difference by midsummer is hard to believe.
Now for trick 5. Prune by type, and don't be afraid to cut hard. Pruning is where clematis owners get nervous, and that nervousness costs them growth. A lot of people are so scared of cutting the wrong thing that they never prune at all, and an unpruned clematis slowly turns into a bare tangle of woody stems with all the flowers stuck way up at the top where nobody can see them. The trick is knowing that clematis comes in 3 pruning groups, and it's simpler than it sounds. Group 1 blooms very early in spring on last year's growth. These you barely touch, just a light tidy after they flower. Group 2 blooms in early summer, sometimes again later, and these you give a light prune in late winter, taking off dead ends and shaping. Group 3 blooms later, from midsummer on, and these you cut hard, right down to about a foot from the ground in late winter or very early spring. If you don't know which one you have, watch when it flowers this year and you'll know your group. Now here's the part that feels brutal but pays off, especially in the first year or two after planting. Don't be afraid of the hard cut on a young plant. When you chop a young clematis back low, you force it to send up multiple strong stems from the base instead of one thin, leggy vine. You're trading a little bit of this season's height for a much fuller, faster, denser plant next season. It hurts to cut a plant you're trying to grow, but a well-timed hard prune is one of the biggest speed boosts you can give it. Trick 6. Water deep and on a rhythm, then trap it with mulch. Clematis is thirstier than people expect, and inconsistent watering is a silent growth killer. A quick splash from the hose every day feels caring, but it only wets the top inch of soil. That trains the roots to stay shallow, right where the sun and heat can stress them, and shallow, stressed roots grow a slow, sulky plant. What you want instead is deep, rhythmic watering. Rather than a little bit every day, give it a long, slow soak 2 or 3 times a week so the water sinks well down and the roots chase it deeper. Deep roots reach more moisture and more nutrients, and they're far more stable through hot spells. A clematis with a deep root system just grows faster and more steadily because it's never running on empty. Then lock that moisture in with mulch. Lay a couple of inches of compost, bark, or leaf mold over the root zone, but keep it pulled back an inch or 2 from the actual stems so it doesn't sit wet against them. That mulch layer keeps the soil cool, holds water so you're not watering as often, and slowly feeds the plant as it breaks down. It quietly does the job of trick number 2 at the same time, shading those roots. Think of it as a moat around the base that keeps everything down there cool, damp, and happy. Trick 7. Feed for flowers with potassium timed to the light. The last trick is about feeding the right thing at the right moment, because the wrong feed can actually work against you. If you dump a high nitrogen lawn fertilizer on your clematis, you'll get a jungle of leaves and hardly any flowers, all foliage, no show. And since flowering is a huge part of what tells the plant to keep pushing new growth, you want to feed for blooms. What clematis wants is potassium. Potassium is the nutrient that drives flowering, and a simple tomato feed is perfect for this because it's naturally high in potassium and easy to find anywhere. Start feeding in spring as the growth wakes up, and keep feeding every couple of weeks through the flowering season. More flowers means the plant stays in productive, energetic mode instead of coasting. There's a timing layer on top of this too. Clematis flowers best when the top of the plant is getting good light. Remember, head in the sun. If your vine is trained into a shady corner, it'll grow slower and bloom less no matter how well you feed it. So make sure the climbing part of the plant is reaching towards 6 hours of sun or so, while the roots stay shaded down below. Get that combination right. Sunny head, cool feet, steady potassium, and you've stacked every advantage in the plant's favor at once. So there you have it. 7 tricks that turn a slow, sulking clematis into a fast, flowering climber. Plant it deep so it builds a wide base, keep the roots cool and shaded, give it thin supports it can actually grip, feed it alfalfa for that surprising growth kick, prune it by type and don't fear the hard cut, water deep on a rhythm and lock it in with mulch, and feed for flowers with potassium while keeping the head in the light. You don't have to do all 7 at once. Even picking 2 or 3 of these will make a real visible difference this season. But if you stack them, you'll be amazed at how quickly this plant rewards you. If this helped you look at your clematis a little differently, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps this channel grow, and there's a lot more where this came from. And tell me down in the comments which trick you're going to try first, or if you've got a clematis secret of your own that I didn't mention. Now, go give that vine what it's been asking for, and I'll see you in the next one.